I think our Mars retrograde that's happening in December and January is going to offer us some very interesting results on a personal level, on a community level, wherever. Apply as needed. Retrogrades offer us several different perspectives when it comes to how we're bound up in them. One of those ways is that if there's something going on in a retrograde, we are bound to return to it. So say that something really important happens during a retrograde of a planet, with this one, Mars, we are now bound to return to it. So in the future, once that retrograde is over, we are going to be at some point looking back. Could be years later, it could be a couple months later, could be a couple days later. More than likely, it's going to be a more long-term look back, but that's one of the things that retrogrades do for us on a more like magical level of how we're bound to that time. And with it being Mars, it has to do with war, battle, strategy, victory, prioritization. Mars is also the harvester, the guardian of that harvest. And one of the other interesting things about retrogrades, yes, in the future, we'll look back on the retrograde that's about to happen. And also, during a retrograde, we usually have to look backwards as well. And Mars retrogrades don't happen very often. They last for about 8 to 10 weeks, but they don't happen except for like every 2-ish years. And 2 years is a long time. We have 2 years of looking back and asking ourselves, does this strategy really work for us? Do our priorities really work for us in this area? Mars also is an attractor and a revealer of enemies. So navigating this retrograde, you could be asked to return to any of the times within the previous 2 years where you have been betrayed or realized that you were around people or in a situation where there were enemies or people that you disagreed with, people who could possibly have been manipulating you. There's a lot of different ways that could show up, okay? So just discern for yourself how that could be applicable if it is. And Mars retrograde is a time that if the enemy hasn't already been revealed, it's probably going to come out of the darkness and into the light. Mars rules over Aries, and Aries is the first light. It's let there be light, let us start. Here's the activation, here's the primal spark of things. So in that primal spark of things and us having this big look back at the previous 2 years, we may recognize and realize, oh, actually, this is where I haven't been prioritizing. This is where I have been prioritizing. I either do or do not agree with this. And sometimes that could be people. This also could reveal to us how we have been enemies to ourselves. Like if we haven't been prioritizing things that maybe we should have been, or we need to strategize, or just Mars-oriented stuff. Like if we haven't been keeping up on those responsibilities, the retrograde of Mars usually lets us know, like, oh, we gotta get going. And this retrograde is gonna start in Leo. It's gonna move back into Cancer eventually, which I think is going to be honestly pretty great. We already had Mars in Cancer, very volatile emotions, to be honest with you, a lot of emotional stuff coming up. Cancer's ruled by the moon, so it makes sense. But then with Leo, we have this extra illumination. So it's 2 fire signs, well, Mars being a ruler of one fire sign and fire-oriented, while also being in Leo, which is a fire sign. So the extra illumination on that, I think, is going to be very helpful for there to be things from the darkness that come into the light. And when it starts, we're going to be in a fire season, Sagittarius season. So we're going to have a whole bunch of light just blasted on priority and strategy, victories, battles, and different things like that. So discern for yourself how to make that applicable for you if it is. And gratitude, rivers of love to you. Keep up your brew. Keep doing what you need to do. That's true. Mars retrogrades can sometimes be a little bit of expect the unexpected. So I guess we'll know when we get there. And I'll talk to you soon.